SBN, Sports Business Now. SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and reward system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com. SBN, Sports Business Now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Business Now interview series. I'm Holly Koski, and with our interview series, we are looking to talk with industry executives within the sports business industry and the tech industry, and kind of see how that marriage exists between tech and sports. And today we have Mark Coatney from Tumblr. How are you doing today, Mark?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And so, Tumblr is still in relative infancy, like you said. Tell us a little bit about the platform.
Sure. Well, Tumblr is kind of two things. It's it's both a simple blogging platform and also kind of a social network combined. So it basically means that you have kind of complete control as any blogging platform would. You can make your blog look like anything you want to, but like say Twitter or something like that, you can also follow other blogs. So it's a really good way to kind of share stuff with other people. So if you have something cool and interesting, it's easy to kind of put it on your own blog and then have other people easily add it to their own blogs as well. It's grown a lot in the past few years. I've been at Tumblr for 3 years, and when I started, there were about 5 million Tumblr blogs, and today there's more than 100 million. So it's become like a real big kind of growing community of people that share a lot of different things, but primarily what they share is visually driven stuff. So like things like photos do very well, and obviously that lends itself very well to sports. So which is one reason why we're here.
And great segue, did my segue for me. But you actually came up with a really great platform surrounding March Madness, obviously just wrapped up on Monday. And you guys encouraged, through your sports page, encouraged fans to kind of write to you and advocate for them to be their school's representative in terms of being that rep in the Tumblr community. And they were able to chronicle their experience, throughout the tournament, and it was posted on, the special NCAA tournament page. Talk about a little bit how the idea started and the success of the initiative.
Sure. So, I can't take much credit for the idea. Scott Casey, who's kind of our VP of finance and a big sports guy, this was really his idea to source this from the community. We'd done similar things in kind of a few smaller things like fashion and stuff, I guess, but this was by far the biggest thing we'd ever tried, which is basically because there are 68 teams in the tournament. We sent out a call, basically just asking anybody on Tumblr if you want to rep your school, if you wanted to talk about their progress through the tournament, let us know and make your pitch, basically. And so people would write in and say, tell us why you wanted to represent your team and show us your Tumblr, and we would kind of look at them and say, oh yeah, you're cool, you should be representing your team. It was a really interesting idea. I think it worked particularly well on Tumblr because the average age on Tumblr, the average Tumblr user is very young. Our average age is 24, but the kind of core user is even younger than that. So it's it's right in that kind of sweet spot of people who are especially college students. And we got most of our people who ended up doing it were actually current students, including we had one who was great, who was the member of the Cal dance squad. So she was shooting photos from the baseline during the game.
Oh, nice.
I was kind of rooting for Cal to go farther because I loved what she was bringing into the mix, which is sad for me to say as a Kansas fan. But so it was a good. What we liked about it again was Tumblr's all about kind of involving people in the community and letting them kind of share stuff and using their creativity to kind of show off the platform. And so, I think it did, to my mind, really well. A few kind of numbers that stood out. We had a single post. The first post we did, just kind of announcing it, putting that pitch out, was seen by 5 million people across the network. Within probably 24 hours. So that's, that it shows you can reach a broad audience very quickly. One thing that I think is kind of interesting about this is that, we just used the tools that anybody could use. We put a call out on Tumblr and got a response, but, you or I could do that just as well. We didn't, go through our server logs. We didn't look through the system and kind of, source people that way. We did it strictly by just making out a call and asking people to come and tell us what they thought. And I think that was a really good choice because it shows that it's kind of a scalable model for other people. And so, the results are, we had people posting, dozens of times a day. We probably had, one measure that we often do on Tumblr is the kind of community around that, which is just the number of people who are on Tumblr kind of actively engaging with a thing. And what we saw was about every day we'd get about 13 to 14,000 people actively engaging, which meant reblogging it, talking about what we were doing on the platform. And that was a really good metric for us. So it showed a really strong interest from people.
Yeah, the thing I love about Tumblr is, your ability to post videos, to just old-fashioned write, to, do animated GIFs, which I love. So I think that's a really cool, outlet where you can just publish any of those types of mediums all in one place. And this was basically a giant crowdsourcing, initiative, you could say, as, you enlisted the fans to provide the content and their insight and their point of view throughout the tournament, like you said, with that Cal Dancer, which is actually a really unique point of view. Can teams follow this same model in terms of, using it with their own Tumblr page?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I mean, one thing that's kind of a point of emphasis for us this year is really kind of helping increase what I'd call a professional usage of Tumblr. I mean, there's particularly in the sports. I mean, I think a lot of news organizations use Tumblr and things like that, but really teams are really just starting to come in the mix. Major League Baseball was probably the earliest they've had Tumblrs for all their teams, for a year, like a full season from last year to this year. The NBA doesn't have one for every team, but the ones that are on do very well. I think basketball in particular resonates pretty well on Tumblr. Interestingly enough, what we found is NBA basketball resonates even more than NCAA basketball because Tumblr is a very global platform. About 60% of our audience is outside the U.S., so we actually get a lot of people. So soccer is obviously a very big sport on Tumblr, and NFL is a very big sport because NFL is becoming a global thing. But the NBA is one of our kind of core things because it resonates across the globe. So what I've seen, I haven't seen teams do a lot of this yet. Baseball's done this a little bit in a different way. They do a Tumblr called Drawn to MLB, which is basically fan art, which I think is such an interesting idea. So it's again, using kind of visual creativity on Tumblr and kind of just using their platform to say, show us your best stuff, and they reblog it and kind of call out that stuff. So I really like that as a fan engagement thing. What I have, what I've seen more is fashion brands doing this, where they'll basically bring a bunch of people into their studios, for instance, their design studios, and show off some of the stuff they're doing, to kind of give their, in essence, their best fans access. And what I'm hoping is, I think teams could do this as well, use Tumblr to kind of find the really good fans and reward them in a certain way. What I see right now is, again, there's a lot of really great creativity on Tumblr. There's a lot of good team Tumblrs out there. And what I'm hoping this model does is show them that there are other ways you can kind of reach people on Tumblr and then bring them into your process.
So if teams don't already have, a Tumblr, why should they make one, and why should they remain active on the site?
Yeah, well, I mean, they should make the one because it's simple to do. You can do one in 5 minutes. B, your fans are there, especially your younger fans. Your younger fans are spending a lot of time on Tumblr. C, it allows you to kind of both tell your story in a way that your website does, because you have the same controls that you do on your regular website, plus the added benefit of having, and this is the key thing, of having a network behind it of people who are willing to share your story, who want to share your story. When I talk to people about how to use Tumblr well, the thing I always say is to think about what's the thing that you're going to post on your Tumblr blog that someone's going to look at and go, wow, this is so cool, I want to have it on my own blog, because that's what spreads it throughout the network. And so there are teams who do that really well. I think the Portland Trailblazers do a great job of this. They really take advantage of the fact that they've got a great, just kind of cool history, big, they've got like a lot of great photography around how the team has worked in the past. Their team has
Another one.
has got a lot of like unique stuff that people want to reblog and want to share. So they take advantage of that. They also do like game summaries in infographic form. Infographic forms are really big on Tumblr because, again, it's visually driven. Tumblr, Tumblr does about 80 million posts a day, and more than half of those are images of some kind. So those images are really the best thing that people can share. And I think for a team, you can like really show off your visual identity, show off your personality in a way that it's kind of harder to do on some other platforms because of the limitations.
Yeah, we're just looking at the Portland Trailblazers one right now, and they do a great job with, like you said, the infographics and then kind of unique images and videos, and it almost looks like a secondary website for them. And but like you said, reaching that younger audience, definitely did not realize that your core demographic is below 24-year-olds, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, 24 is the average age.
Average
but I always
age.
think about, well, yeah, but and that's our core. But what I always think is like, we have what I call the kind of power users who tend to be like 17. Like one thing that always cracks me up is we have a 250 a day post limit. You can only post 250 posts a day, and that's to fight spammers and things like that. But we always get every day angry emails from teenagers saying, "I've hit my limit. Can you reset my limit? It's like noon, and I've posted my 250 posts." So like those are the people that you like. If you really get in their radar, they're going to spend all their time sharing the stuff that you do if they think you're cool. So like that I think is our core audience.
Yeah, clearly those are your fans right there. If they're doing that maximum posting
they are maxing
there.
it out, yeah.
And then how are you looking to expand, this NCAA type of, fan crowdsourcing into other events in the future?
Well, I think every event is different. Obviously, I mean, this one lended itself very well towards, crowdsourcing the whole Tumblr universe. I think, what we'll probably try to do is case by case. I mean, I'd love to find some models where we actually are able to bring some fans into games. One thing that's big on Tumblr is like what we call Tumblr meetups. People kind of, want to meet other Tumblr users in real life. I'd love to organize some of those around actual games, for instance, just trying to bring the fans, together with each other and use Tumblr as the engine to organize that. One thing that always happens on, say, Sundays, for instance, NFL Sundays are huge on Tumblr, where a lot of fans are like, doing their, they start out the day kind of trash talking, and they go through the day, making GIF highlights from the games, and then are doing the wrap-ups at the end of the day. I'd love to do more stuff with teams and fans together. I mean, to my mind, Tumblr is often like the best sports center out there, because like everybody's like, picking their own little highlight and making it themselves and showing it off. And so I want to do more stuff that kind of, just showcases the cool things that fans are doing, all day long on Tumblr.
Well, great. Definitely sports teams, and athletes should really pay attention to this medium. As you said, there's a really number of ways that they can get involved, and it's so easy to do so. So Tumblr looks great so far. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us. We will be back just in about an hour for SBN Live, and then at Sports Marketing Now every Tuesday. And you can find us online, sportsbusinessnow.com, or on Twitter at SBNow. We'll see you next time.
SBN, Sports Business Now.